I'm here in a Pacific Rim right now.
Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah. Did you see him? Found some more calypsos. Come on, Trap, don't step on them. My goal was not actually to be an advocate for old growth. It was simply to provide the public with as much accurate information as I could about these forests and what they did. The foresters viewed them as an incredible source of wood. The enviros viewed them as, incredible, inspirational, majestic, cathedral-like forests. It wasn't until we really began to heavily cut in our national forests that I think people really began to be concerned that we were, in fact, cutting our way through them at a very rapid rate. We didn't think we were going to save it. We thought we were going to document a system that was going to go extinct. This national forest was really a very important part of where I grew up. My dad worked in the paper mill at Camas. We were certainly not well off. We didn't have a car until right at the end of World War II. 1945, we finally got a car and we began to go camping at that point. I loved being out in the forest. I think I viewed the trees as my friends. I was 13 or 14, and I'd been just playing by myself in the woods one day, and I realized, that they were pushing back the edge of the forest. They're just going to cut it down and put houses on it. And that troubled me, what was happening to it. And so I stood up and said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend my life doing whatever I can to cut the best deal I can for forests and trees in a world dominated by human beings. And I don't know how much that'll be, but that's what I'm going to do. And I said it out loud, and it always makes a difference to me when you say things out loud. Even though there were only the trees there to hear it. And it turned out the best way I could help the forests was to learn about them and then tell people about them. So that's what I did. We wanted to study old growth, and we wanted to study old growth Douglas fir because nobody had ever studied these systems. Foresters didn't know anything about old growth forests. They never studied them. They all they wanted to know was, how do I cut it down? How do I efficiently log it, burn a slash, and replant it? That's what I want to know. And that's what they studied. And no one could tell me a thing scientifically about old growth. The majority, of course, of our old growth forests in western Washington, western Oregon is about 500 years old. The Douglas firs are about 500 years old. Douglas fir is just an extraordinary tree. It has an ability to regenerate a canopy. So you break off a Douglas fir top and you can grow another top. You strip off the branches off of half of a tree. When another tree falls next to it, it can sprout epicormic branches. An old tree is not simply an enlarged version of a young tree, any more than an old person is an enlarged version of a child. I have capabilities and intelligence that you youngsters don't have. An old tree has developed a whole lot of very idiosyncratic characteristics over time as a result of the opportunities and blows that it suffered. But an old tree provides absolutely unique attributes that are important as habitat for organisms, that are important as elements in resistance and resilience in terms of things like climate change. Old trees are absolutely fundamentally different than young trees. And when you have trees that can grow for 300, 400, 500, 600 years, then that's just going to be that much more accentuated. As a Forest Service scientist, I wasn't constrained from telling anybody who would listen to me what I understood. We were in the right place at the right time with the scientific information that we needed. When we did the Northwest Forest Plan, we scientists didn't even have it completely, we didn't understand what was going on completely either. And so we left some old growth forests out there to be cut. And society said, no, we're not going to cut those either. We don't care what the scientists say. And the outcome then was, oh, we're going to stop cutting these old forests. Thanks to your husband. I'm proud of it. Everybody needs to have some superior being to report back to periodically on what they're doing and what their justification for it is. All through my career, I have always reported back. And I have a group of trees here. And I always came back to here to report. And to be accountable for what I did. And it was always important to me that what I did was consistent with that commitment and not done for some reason of ego. I would go and I'd sit and I'd talk out loud because it makes a difference. It always helped me to make the right decision about things. We need to be thinking more and more about a partnership. Our job is to collaborate with nature. Our job is to work with natural processes to the mutual benefit of the forest ecosystem and society. Rather than something that we can just manipulate and do whatever we damn well please with, most fundamentally it has to do with humility and approaching these systems with humility.